Have you always wanted to sow your own perennial wildflowers, but you're not sure how to get started and you just want to learn more in general?
Yeah, we want to help you build your wildflower knowledge today and help you sow them step by step.
Hi, we're Sean and Allison from Spoken Garden, and we're partnering with Eden Brothers to help you in your garden.
We want to help you become a better gardener and grow your best vegetables and flowers yet. So let's talk about perennial wildflowers. Now today, we're going to show you how to sow the All Perennial Wildflower Seed Mix. If you're looking for a wildflower mix that is a set it and forget it kind of seed mix, this is the seed mix for you. Now in this seed mix, there's 19 different wildflower varieties that you'll be able to plant in your garden. And this includes coneflowers, candy tuft, black-eyed Susan, and a lot more. Now, most of these perennials are hardy in zones 3 through 10, but you should be able to grow this seed mix pretty much everywhere in the United States. Now, these perennials will thrive anywhere in your garden in a full sun location, and they're going to flower starting in the springtime all the way into the summer and into the fall. They'll also grow best in gardens that don't have overly moist soils or have any standing water for any amount of time around them.
This seed packet you're about to plant is really fun. The flowers come in all kinds of different shapes, like daisy or daisy-like, spike, cone-shaped, even clusters of flowers. And they come in all different colors. Also, this seed packet will be really fun because once it grows over a few years, since most of these flowers spread by seed or even by an expanding crown, you'll be able to divide it and spread it around your garden. So some quick facts about the perennials you're about to sow. Most of them will get up to a height of about 25 or more inches tall, just so you know what to expect. And they all have either an upright or a mounding type of growth habit. Now these perennials you're about to plant will make great cut flowers, so that's really fun. And if you have a ground bed area that you need to fill in, this would be a great option. Another idea for this seed mix is to just create a big wildflower meadow. A benefit of planting this perennial seed mix is after about 1 to 2 years of growth, they will become drought tolerant, so they'll need less water overall, which is great. Plus they're heat tolerant. Now they're also deer resistant. Another awesome benefit of this seed mix is that it's a huge pollinator magnet for bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds. Now let's talk about when to sow your perennial seeds. It's going to depend on where you live and your preference, but you can sow them in either spring or fall. Just know that fall seed sowing will get a big jump on the perennials and get them growing and maybe flowering the following year. Now let's talk about fall seed sowing because there are a couple options depending on where you live, and it depends on what your climate is like and when your first fall frost occurs. So if you're growing in a colder climate and planting in early fall, you'll want to time it so you sow your seeds 10 to 12 weeks before your first fall frost. If you're in a colder climate, but you want to sow them a little later in mid to late fall or even early winter, wait to sow your seeds until after the first couple of hard frosts in your area and after temperatures are too cold for seeds to germinate. But if you live in a warmer climate, plan to sow your seeds about 2 to 3 months before your first fall frosts. Now, if you want to just wait and sow them in the spring, just make sure your soil is workable and it's thawed out from the frosts. Just keep in mind that some of your seeds might germinate and grow, but they might not flower in that first full year.
Now, we want to show you how to sow these seeds, but first, you're going to need to find a full sun location in your garden to plant these seeds in. Now, where I'm standing right now gets morning shade, but it does get at least 6 hours or more of afternoon sun, full sun right in this location. What you're also going to have to do is make sure to weed the area. You're also going to need to rake out any debris and clear any vegetation away before you actually start prepping the soil. Now, after you've got the area cleared out, you're going to need to break up the soil, and you want to go down probably about 6 inches, maybe even down to 12 inches if you can. You want to really break up that soil. You want to make it nice and loose so all of your perennial seeds that germinate have a lot of nice loose soil to now grow their roots into. Now, also to break up your soil, if you just have a general rototiller, like a gas-powered electric rototiller, you can use that too. Now, after we've broken up our soil, we need to add some compost or some just well-draining new soil and mix it into the native soil to make sure that it has a lot of different nutrients and it'll drain really well. Now, if you're not sure how much compost or new soil to add into this area, you can start off with a 1/2 inch or even just a full inch layered over the top as best you can, and then that should be good enough. Just make sure to mix it in. Now that we've mixed it all together, we need to smooth it back out and get it as level as possible before we sow and broadcast the seeds. If there's any chunks of soil that are in there or any other debris that you weren't able to get before, make sure to rake that out so this is as smooth and as level as you can get it. Now, let's get to sowing these seeds. What you need to know before you sow the seeds is that each one of these seeds need to be planted either about 1/4 of an inch or even just 1/8 of an inch below the soil surface. So what we're going to do is now that our area is ready to go, I'm going to spread these seeds and broadcast them over this area. And then what I'll do is I'll take some extra soil and sprinkle it over the top of those seeds once they're down, and we'll get that about 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch depth that way. Now, if you're worried about not being able to see where you sowed the seed at because your soil is a little bit lighter in color, and you're also worried that you won't get an even distribution of the seed over the area you're planting them in, there's a really easy fix for that, and that's to mix your seed with sand. Now, what you need to do is mix 5 parts sand to 1 part of your seed. So mix that all together, get it evenly mixed up as best you can, and then spread all of that mix over the area where you're going to plant it in. In our case, we would do it right here. And that way we'll be able to visually see where we place down all the seed with that sand, and you'll get a really good even distribution of the seed in this area.
Now, if you have a larger area and you have a lot more seed, let's say you have 1 pound or even 5 pounds of seed, you're going to do a huge area. You can use either a broadcast spreader that's a drop spreader. So it's like a trough. It almost looks like a wheelbarrow. You'll put the seed in that, and as you walk, it'll just drop the seed. Or you can get a handheld cranking broadcast seeder, and that'll just literally throw the seed out in a full area. It's going to sprinkle these seeds over the top. This is my way of broadcasting them, and I'm just going to do this over the top like you see here. And I'm going to go kind of light on my first go around. With any seed left over, I'll go over those areas again. Now, before I add that 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch soil over the top, I'm going to rake the seed into the soil to make sure there's good contact between the soil and the seed. So that contact with the soil is as good as it can be, and it's nice and tight.
We're going to sprinkle this other soil, this leftover soil over the top to give us that 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch coverage. Now, before we do the last step of watering these seeds in, if we can, it's always a good idea to just tamp down and kind of just compact all this area so we get good soil to seed contact. Now, if you don't want to do this by hand, you can use a tamper, you can use a seed roller. Some people even might walk over it, but you might not want to do that because you can actually take the seed in your shoes, pick it up, and then spread it in other places, and then it won't come up where you want it to. Now, let's just water these seeds in. We're going to do our best to just evenly water it. We don't want to overwater this area though. We don't want standing water, because if we get standing water after we've just planted the seeds, it could pull some of the seeds all together and take it away from other places. And then we'll just have patches everywhere. The other thing is if we have enough water and it's starting to flow other places, it could take the seed and take it away from where we just planted it.
Now, to give you some contrast, we just planted the new seeds right over here, our seed mix, but here is what we planted last year, the same exact seed mix, and look at it right here. It's lush and full of all the perennials that we sowed, and you can expect the same kind of growth, the same amount of growth in that first year. Now, once your seedlings germinate, don't let them dry out too much at all. You can let the soil surface, just the soil surface itself, dry out, and then keep the watering going. Now, make sure you don't overwater them with too wet a soil, so the soil's wet all the time. And with that consistent watering, you'll have really healthy seedlings. They'll continue to grow. You won't have any delays in their growth or flowering in that first year. Once your perennial patch has gotten established, you won't need to water really too much at all, but you'll definitely need to water it during those dry times. Now, generally, it's good practice to every year top dress over your perennial patch about 1 to 2 inches of either compost or just nutrient-rich soil. Now, if you want to guarantee really healthy plants and a lot more larger flowers, you can always add once a year a well-balanced time-release fertilizer. Now, like I mentioned before, you want to keep an eye out for weeds. Now, and it doesn't matter if you have an established patch or you just sowed your seeds in a new patch. Keep an eye out for those weed seeds. You don't want weeds competing for the same soil nutrients and water, and also for the growing space and the sunlight with your new perennial plants. Something else that helps too is putting down some mulch. Now, you don't want to put it down over your new seed patch or your already established patch. You can put it around the edges of it. It'll also help keep that soil moisture more readily available for your plants to take up and protect those plant roots to keep them cooler. Now, let's talk about the flowers. That's the fun part, right? That's why we planted this whole patch. After the first flush of flowers is done, you can go ahead and deadhead them, and that'll create more space and to help the plant keep flowering. because a lot of these plants, they will continue to flower if you deadhead them. Not all of them, but some of them will. Now, if you don't mind leaving those seed heads and those flower heads in your garden, that can actually attract wildlife as a food source.
Now, as you're growing your perennial patch, you'll need to look out for different diseases and pests. The diseases you'll need to look out for are powdery mildew, fungal leaf spot, and root rot, especially if you're growing your perennials in wetter conditions or just, there's been a lot of water and there's been some standing water around them. And the pests to look for are slugs, snails, spider mites, and a couple of other pests that many of these perennials are susceptible to. One of the fun things about growing perennials is that after about 3 to 5 years, you can literally divide these plants or take just a chunk out of your perennial patch and move it around to other parts of your garden. And not only are you spreading these beautiful plants around your garden for the flowers, but also for the wildlife, you're also creating more space in your original patch for all the other perennials still here to grow into. And this will help reinvigorate not only this patch, but also the perennials you spread around your garden. And in the fall to all the way into the winter, once your perennials are done growing, they're gonna wither back down to the ground. You can cut that withered portion of the plant back down to the ground, but leave about 1 to 2 inches above the ground. And these perennials will be dormant for the rest of the winter. And starting in that next spring, you'll start to see that new flush of growth. And then with that, all the flowers in the next year.
If you want to harvest your perennial seed mix for cut flowers, make sure that you have stems that are at least 12 to 18 inches long before you harvest them. Cut the stems back to a leaf axil or a lower flower stem so you can get a second harvest if possible. Make sure to harvest in the early morning after watering when the plants are least stressed and the stems are strong. Place each stem in cool, clean water in a 5-gallon bucket immediately after cutting. By harvesting cut flowers and removing the old flowers, it'll give your plant the chance to redistribute needed nutrients to other developing flowers and can also create more space for other surrounding flowers to grow.
Now, if you need more flower planting, growing, or harvesting tips, you can always go to EdenBrothers.com and check out their planting guides.
And we hope this video was really helpful for you in sowing your own perennial seed mix. And from us at Spoken Garden and Eden Brothers, thank you for watching.